everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Storytellers series by New Mexico Women in Film. I am your host, back with you, Carrie Rose O'Connell. And today I am joined by Geri Lynn Matthews, who owns Unavoidable Productions and is here to talk to us about a short film that she has recently put together. Geri Lynn, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited to have you with me.
Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. How are you? I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I should mention, Geri Lynn is also one of our board members for New Mexico Women in Film. I'm happy this actually is the second episode that is including some of the work that our board members have done recently. And I think it's really important to our community to see how active in the industry our board members are in creating their own works, because I think that gives them a better sense of how we can support them as a community. So thank you so much. I know how busy you are to take the time and share with everybody your project, and also, so our members can see how great it is that our board members are really working professionals in the industry. So let's talk about Tsunami. This is a really intense multicultural short film is the way your project kind of description defines it. And it was created in spoken word slam poetry style, and has kind of its own twist where your project timeline was interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic and the impacts to filming and how we usually get that done traditionally. So I'm super excited to talk to you today. I'll tell the audience I've had time to watch Tsunami several times. We're going to check out the trailer in our episode of the Storyteller series, and Geri Lynn will tell us how you can get your hands on the full project. But I found it to be completely fascinating. It really is impressive the way you thread together the social issues and the count of social issues that are really all in themselves becoming kind of mini pandemics that are plaguing our society and the functioning of our society. So kind of what inspired you to take on so many topics and drill them into one short film?
Well, I think it started with a lot of sleepless nights about 3.5 years ago, almost 4 years ago. And so I keep my phone by my bed, and I would wake up, and instead of getting out of bed, I would pick up my phone and jot down in my yellow pad thoughts I was having so I could like let go of it and go back to sleep. And I started writing it in poetry style. And I've been inspired by a female slam poetry writer in New York, Vanessa Heddery. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give that a try. I've never written a slam poem, let alone a poem. And I thought, I'm just going to try and make this different. It was only for me. I never
Yeah.
expected this to turn into a film. So I started writing this, and it would be a little bit each day. And then I shared some of it at a certain point with a few people in the film industry and a few people that I trust. Because I thought, here's some, older white lady writing a slam poem. It's like, okay, this is crazy, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I thought, what the heck, it's only for me. No one's going to see it. And a
Sure.
few people, eventually did see it, and they said, no, this is really good. You should make this a film. And I thought, oh, I can't do that. And they said, well, you should perform it. And I thought, I can't do that either, and I could never see myself doing that. Well, I wound up doing just that twice, and I was literally scared to death. I'm really not a performer. I like to write things and be behind the camera, but I'm not an actor. So getting up there was really a challenge, and I was very nervous. And I did it, and the response I got was, from what I'm told, because I think I was like totally blanked out in the moment. Someone said, that was really wonderful. You should do it again. And so I did it twice. And after the second time, I thought, what am I going to do with this? I just kept writing and writing and writing.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, someone said, turn it into a film. So I started working on that a couple of years ago. And, it had some glitches as far as, putting it together and, pulling together a team and what have you. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to turn it into something. And, little by little over the last few years, we started, pre-production and, what have you, and, getting a team together, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
It was happening up
Wow.
until February, up until late February. And we were having production meetings in the house, and we were doing casting calls, and, we had producers, and we had a full crew, and we had a location, and we had, equipment, and we had everything we needed.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of rehearsals, and as a medical social worker, I was watching the news, and I was thinking, oh, this doesn't look good.
Yeah.
And I have training in infectious disease yearly. And I thought, well, this is really not looking good. And then I thought, well, I'm just, catastrophizing. It's probably going to be nothing. And I'd be back and forth every day saying, oh, it's going to be
Yeah.
horrible. And well, when we got the first case here, I canceled my vacation. When I say here, I mean in the US. I canceled my vacation because my husband had just had pneumonia. We were both sick. And
Right.
now I'm wondering if we had COVID. I don't even know till this day. So anyway, to make a long story short, we canceled our flight. I told the crew, I said, I don't feel good about this. And like 2 weeks later, we had our first case in New Mexico. And I
Mm.
was like, oh my goodness, I'm really thankful that we didn't continue with it.
Yeah.
We were all very disappointed. And at that point, it took a couple of days for all of us to brainstorm, like, what can we do with this?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's got to get done because the material was very timely with respect to the upcoming election and what's happening in the country and the world. And I thought, you know what? If it doesn't look like I envisioned it, like we envisioned it as a team, we're going to go ahead and do it anyway.
Mm.
And so what we decided was to use smartphone. And a lot of the actors didn't all have the same smartphones. Some were old, some were not, some were Android, some were iPhone. And I thought, we're going to do this. It may not look like we intended it to look, but we're going to go ahead and do it. So that's what we did. We had put together instructions for everyone on how to film, how to work with the lighting, how to hold your phone,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and and then we were worried about, well, what are we going to do with B-roll, because we had a bunch of things on camera that we were going to use, and we didn't want to use like several different modalities because we thought editing is going to be a nightmare. So
Sure.
trying to plan ahead for that was a little bit more challenging. So we decided to use iMovie
Ah.
for editing, which I've never done before. And my husband, actually, he was the editor. He'd never done that before, except for like little tiny projects, maybe like a 5-minute film or 3-minute film. And we had a lot of support from other people that said, just go ahead and do it. Don't worry about, don't be a perfectionist, just do it. And I had a music composer who is also an advisor to me with respect. She's my film fairy godmother. She's a double Emmy winner, and she's made lots of films. And she's like, you can do this. Go ahead. Just don't worry about all the considerations you have going on, in the back of your head.
Yeah, sure.
So she gave me a lot of creative advice on, how to keep it short and sweet, and yet get it done in time. I was worried about having it be. It had to have an end. Although when you see the film, you realize it could go on for days.
Yeah.
Truth be told, but it had to end in enough time for us to get it together and get it out before the election. So we decided to work with one of our actors, did some of the music, and the B-roll we kept to a lot of stock footage rather than running around town. And we were all actually early on. The governor had said, nobody's going to work, nobody's doing this and that. So for a few weeks, we're kind of in our own homes. And
Sure.
so that's the way it had to be done. And I wanted to be respectful of, the guidelines that were laid out by the governor, and just go ahead and follow those, and not chance anybody, coming down
Yeah.
and getting without any, specific COVID guidelines for the film industry, which we're still in the process of, tweaking and creating and so forth. So that's what we went ahead and did. And we got it done. It's 21 minutes. And it's out there on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And we have a media person that we're working with now to try to help us, put it together
Great.
and keep it going on social media. We've had a lot of really good feedback from people about the content. And I'm really proud of our team that we did something under, first of all, very unusual circumstances, circumstances that did a 360 really fast. And to be truthful, a lot of crew and the actors, as well as myself, people have been under a lot of stress,
Yeah.
a lot of emotional stress without going into people's personal business. I mean, it's sort of like, okay, how do you use art to heal, to create
Right.
and heal? And I really believe that art does heal.
Yes.
It seems like a lot of the projects that I have worked on in my film career happen to occur under extremely stressful, unplanned circumstances. In the past, when I was up at Sundance with my husband, we were screening another film that we were in that was up for an Academy Award. My husband got sick at Sundance and wound up having emergency surgery, only to come back to New Mexico and say, "I think we should make a film." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. You're in a hospital bed for 8 months, and yeah, that's what I have time to do." And I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm like caregiving and making a film in the same breath. And I thought, okay, honey, we'll do that. And I thought this kept both of us going under a really stressful health crisis, in our house.
Yeah.
And it got done, and it got on Amazon. And so I always tell filmmakers, new filmmakers, or novices, and again, I'm still learning myself every day. Don't get stuck in the considerations, whether it's the finances, a pandemic. I mean, there are ways to do things, and
Yeah.
I guess your passion and your commitment can really, take you a far way. I'm happy to say so.
Absolutely.
And right now, we're being looked at by Amazon, so the jury is still out on that. We're waiting to hear back. And at the end of the day, we're entered into several film festivals. And bottom line is, I'm really proud of what our team has been able to do, and I'm very thankful for all of them.
That's great. Let me ask you a little bit about the production. When you were first getting this ready, did you look for poets? Did you look for actors? What were you really looking for in the various talent that you
Okay.
used?
Wow, that's a great question. Cindy Mirabal is our producer. And
Hmm.
Cindy and I would sit down and, just try to brainstorm, what are we looking for? And one of the things that I pride myself on in my projects, and I'm also a social worker. So for me, this is really like heartfelt.
Hmm.
And I think also Women in Film is following suit right now, which is I want to create projects that are inclusive, that are multicultural, that create opportunities for people to share their feelings and have voice and give legs to things that need to be heard and seen and felt. And so that was one of the main things. I want it to be multicultural, crew, if possible, as well as gender,
Hmm.
as well as um, the actors. And so we went out on all the different film pages
Yeah.
and put out a call for, multicultural, if someone has experience in slam poetry, in rap. We
Yeah.
were sort of broad based because, like I said, this genre as a writer and director is also new to me. So
Yeah.
again, I'm kind of learning within my own process. And we have amazing people show up to the casting call. And back to the actors, the other situation we had was when the pandemic hit, some of our actors are Native American.
Hmm.
And so the consideration of crisis with respect to what was happening and is still happening, in our community, whether it's Arizona, New Mexico, on the reservations, was extremely concerning.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to do anything that would put them in any kind of danger. And like I said, people were in the middle of how am I going to do this? Like, what do I do? What do I have to do to keep my family safe, to keep my family fed? People are losing their jobs. Um, I mean, it's been a roller coaster. I mean, of sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the hardest hit communities, our Native communities, were in this area for the COVID crisis. So that must have been very difficult helping everybody on your crew and team navigate that. Um, so these topics, the styling, the production, it was originally obviously envisioned differently than what you ended up putting together because of the pandemic. Tell me a little bit about adapting to remote set. You talked a little bit about just working with your contributors, using more kind of actual smartphones. Um,
Right.
was there anything that you actually had happen that you realized, well, I'm going to do this even for regular film productions going forward? Or, I mean, is there any kind of positive lining to having to shift and create it in this way?
I always think there's opportunity to learn something new. And so, again, this isn't something I planned on. Again, I've made small, short little films, a minute, 2 minute, but doing something that's a 20-minute short, a
Yeah.
30-minute piece. It's not something I really want to do in the future, but but I've kind of made up my mind that as far as indie film, if this is the safest way to go forward, and to keep everybody safe and healthy, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And Cindy, our producer, and I are currently in development, pre-production with another filmmaker, actor who is in our film that is working on another project. And so we
Great.
are working with him to support him in bringing his vision to life with respect to another short film. So yes, I am going to go ahead and continue this genre for now,
Yeah.
until whether it's a vaccine or, a miracle occurs. For now, I think I feel safer going this way. I mean, I'm a woman of a certain age. I have elderly parents. My husband's a diabetic. So I really have to consider, what I might or might not bring home. And I
Right.
don't want to risk anybody's life. In addition, obviously the actors, the crew, I don't want anyone to risk at all, if possible. So this seems to be the safest way. We were also thinking about doing something on Zoom as
Yeah.
another way to create a film.
Right.
We didn't use Zoom. We basically had, and I'll show you. Each person, take their phone, and we wanted them to hold it horizontally.
Mhm.
And something got lost in translation where I started getting things filmed like this.
Yeah.
But out of that change, if you will, I won't call it a mistake. I thought, okay, great. I'll have the actor will be vertical, and then I'll have the B-roll, on either side.
Yeah.
So I'll have visuals to go along with what the spoken word is.
Mm.
So that wasn't planned. That was sort of, kind of not what I was wanting, but this is what I got. And I thought, okay, that looks better. We'll do it this way.
Yeah.
And trying to work with people that are not only in New Mexico, but I had a few people that have worked here before but have gone and moved to other states.
Mm.
Trying to communicate with them about what we're wanting, and they were also in the middle of a lot of crises in their city. um, there was a lot of unrest in some of the cities, and people were having a hard time
Mm.
trying to keep it together
Yeah.
while filming this. So that was one thing that was different. As far as lighting, as far as background, not everybody has as you can see, a totally white wall. Not
Right.
everybody's. I mean, I do have a screen, but it's not out today. But not everybody's got a green screen. So it's sort
Yeah.
of like, how do you make hay with what you've got, and
Yeah.
not let that get in the way of creating what you want to create.
Mm.
So again, passion is everything.
Yeah.
I really feel that's one of the greatest things that everyone brought to the table was their commitment to the poem. So when you hear the piece, you'll hear the passion that's in the piece and the urgency of, we've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done now.
Yeah. I'd love to, if you don't mind, I'd love to go ahead and share my screen and play
Okay,
the trailer so
sure.
people can kind of get a visual of
Okay.
what we've been chatting about. And then I have a couple of questions about the topic itself for you when we
Okay.
get back.
Show me democracy among this hypocrisy. Grief, fear, and civil unrest is not our best. This is not America. Is it? It is.
It's challenging to direct when the actor's not in the room, to say the least.
Yeah.
Trying to direct someone over the telephone or over smartphone or over Zoom, it's a very different feel than when we were rehearsing.
Yeah.
And to try to explain what I want or what I'm trying to extract from someone emotionally, there's definitely somewhat of a disconnect, if you will, or difference, when you're doing it this way. It doesn't feel the same. At least to me, it didn't.
Yeah.
So that was challenging for me.
I can imagine.
Especially since a lot of the actors came on to the project late because a few people, due to the pandemic and financial reasons and job reasons, had to drop out. So It was like, okay, I need to, Cindy and I were scrambling to try to find actors that we felt were appropriate for different parts of the poem, because we wanted it to be multicultural as possible. And so it's sort of like, trying to find the appropriate actors to fit the appropriate words at the last minute, because we've got to hurry up and get this edited to get it out in time. So
Like,
beat the clock, beat the clock. And then again, all the considerations I'm having, which is, people are going to see this, my peers are going to see this, and a sense of feeling vulnerable, like you want it to look as good as you can make it. Yeah. And then again, it's like, well, this isn't anything that I was, anything I had in mind it wasn't going to look like this, but I'm hoping people will understand the crisis everybody was in and the situation, and realize, I've never made something like this so quickly and with equipment that was everyone doing something different. So it was a challenge and a risk, I think, but one I think well worth taking.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, so with some of the back context now from you today, it's interesting to me. So you were actually the author of the poems we hear being read throughout the storyline, because as we were kind of chatting before the episode started today, I watched it several times preparing for the interview. And I think one of the great things about this short film for the time that it's coming out and everything that's going on right now is it really does, every part of the poem, as it breaks out into these various social issues, hits you one by one, right? And for me, I definitely felt a lot of agreement and affirmation of my own feelings over this, especially those last 4 years in the U.S. But the sum of it, it when you finally get to the end and you realize the total number of issues we really have affecting us all simultaneously right now, it's both kind of individually verifying, but at the same time very overwhelming at the en masse kind of situation that we have found ourselves in. And I think what you put together really captures that grouping of emotions that we're all going through.
It is overwhelming. Yeah, definitely. This is not, in my opinion, an easy piece to watch for a lot of people. And as far as you were saying, agreement, there are a lot of people that are going to watch this and think whatever they're going to think.
Sure.
They're going to have a totally different take on it. And that's okay, because truth be told, some of this started out being somewhat autobiographical, if you will. And the sense of feeling overwhelmed, distraught, sad, a sense of fear of what's been going on in our country. For me personally.
Yeah, right.
And I own that, okay? And I'm totally fine with not everybody having the same feelings and take on it that I do. But that really wasn't the intention of it, for people to say, yeah, okay, I agree with that. It was more an opportunity, for me as a social commentary, as a social worker and a filmmaker and an activist to say, wow, this is overwhelming. And it
Yeah.
does feel like a tsunami. That was the feeling. Truthfully, I would wake
Yeah.
up feeling like there's so much being thrown at us, as a society, that it just felt humongous.
Yeah.
And I thought, what better way to get rid of some of these feelings than to write them down? And so that's how it happened. And I thought, well, just writing them down, that's great if you're going to therapy, which is good too. But if
Yeah.
I want to make it entertaining and give it some legs where it's going to appeal to different ages,
Hmm.
and I've got to do something more with it than just, it's not a Mary Had a Little Lamb kind of poem. It's not Shakespeare. The people would say to me, I don't get this. And, maybe they're 85 years old. They don't get, that kind of the beat and the energy behind, how this poem is told by each
Right.
actor. And each actor tells it a little bit differently.
Yeah, I loved that.
And one of the things I encouraged them to do was, try to keep it to, to the beat. And we sent them a lot of different examples of rap and slam. And a couple of our actors actually are slam poets. And so
Mm,
we listed them to sort of talk to the rest of the team when we were still able to get together before we
yeah.
shut down, which was, okay, how do we coach people to sort of like, get into that flow so it has like an energy? But I also let everybody know, I want you to make this yours. Yes, I'll direct you. I'll get up and give you the example of what I was feeling when I wrote it down. But at the end of the day, I want you to get into your gut and, bring it. Let me
Yeah.
see what you're feeling about it. And so that was the challenge in directing long distance, if you will, without like having someone in the room.
Yeah.
That for me was challenging, and I'm really proud of them. I was amazed at what I was able to get from them. I mean, these are amazing
Yeah.
people that did an amazing work, and some of them were going through a lot of real serious stuff in their own lives at the time. So I
Yeah.
think that energy really translated, and they were able to bring the words to life.
And hopefully that gave them a space to put some of how they're feeling about their circumstances. Like you said, art, it finds a way to really help you cope with whatever you're going through in life if you choose to allow that creativity in. So I'm sure it was beneficial for them in their own way. What I loved about it is there's this great variation between the readers, but at the same time, there's a continuity throughout the whole thing. So you achieved that very well. And I just, we'll make sure we put the links to everything in our episode notes. But I do encourage anybody to watch this, regardless of whatever your political point of view is or social point of view, that type of thing, like Geri Lynn was saying. Because what I found was it really just generates thought. And I think that's really important right now that we all keep ourselves thinking about what we believe.
Yeah. The most important thing I think is for this project to create and generate conversation.
Yeah.
And it's already doing that. We've gotten some calls about using it as an educational piece. So I'm really
Wonderful.
proud of that. And so I thought, okay, then it's already doing what I wanted to do. People are
Yeah.
talking. And so I think that it's an opportunity, regardless of whatever your political persuasion is,
Mhm.
to create conversation. And
Yeah.
I think at the end of it all, what I'm really trying to say to people is, not to be so cliche, but get out and vote,
Yeah.
or mail in your ballot, or whatever you're going to do,
Yeah.
make it happen, do it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the intentions, before the pandemic, which was, we want people to get out and vote. So that's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Participate in the system. That's the best way for it to be considerate of everyone, right?
Yes.
So, obviously, you're going to be trying to circulate this out there as much as possible, the timing of everything and its importance. this year in particular, I know you've said like you have it submitted to Amazon. Is there any more evolution for this project? Or is the production of it done and maybe now it's just going to potentially run a festival circuit and be out there for the social messaging purpose that it holds?
Wow, that's a heavy question. That's a loaded one. I'll let you know after the election. There's a whole lot more going on here. Like I
Sure.
said, I could have, it could have been endless. I could have had endless actors, performing. And you know what? Maybe I'll do that. I don't know. Maybe it'll be the
Yeah.
longest running film at least for another 4 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't really know yet. Wow. I'm very thankful for where it's at right now
Yeah.
and considering the circumstances. And so I think more will be revealed in the universe. And I think I just going to sit back and see where it goes.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, like I said, it covers a lot of topics. And I've had some people say to me, well, can you re-edit? Can you cut up this part? Someone said to me, can you
Mm,
cut up this part? Because I like this part about Me Too, the Me Too era, sexual assault. And I thought,
right.
hey, that could be a learning tool for that audience.
Right.
There's different pieces, definitely, that, like you said, cover different social issues. So
Yeah.
that's one option that we've talked about, which is, maybe in the future, maybe not re-editing, but just having another version
Right.
of it. So that's a possibility for sure. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But right now we're in the marketing phase, if you will. Just
Yeah.
to keep it moving, at least through the election. That's my goal right now, is just to keep getting it out there. And so that's what we're working on right now.
So that's kind of the key support you're looking for right now for Tsunami. Anything else with Unavoidable Productions going on that you wanted to share today with the audience? Anything cooking?
Anything else? No, not yet. I think we're still like coming off the high of getting it's a
Yeah.
postpartum production right now. Postpartum baby, we had the film and now we just have to sit back and let the hormones settle. So that's where we're
Yeah.
at right now. Like I said, and the marketing part.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of calls from people, so I'm really thankful that the feedback that I'm getting has been really interesting from a lot of different groups of people. Some
Great.
people in the Democratic Party have reached out to me. I'm not at liberty to
Sure.
go to that place right now, but I'm like, okay, use whatever you want. If you want to, go ahead.
Yeah.
And so I've got a Zoom meeting coming with Protect Our Defenders.
Mm,
So I'm really excited about that. We were
great.
invited on that. And I think our veteran community is having a really good response to it right now. So that's
Yeah.
interesting, given things that are going on in the news at the moment. And again,
Yeah.
things are changing day to day. I think that's that was the challenge of the project,
Mm,
was, things are coming up so quickly in the news. I didn't just want it to be like a news report or a regurgitation of whatever news program you watch. It was more heartfelt.
yeah.
And I think that's what I really wanted to have the actors translate, was the feelings that they're having. And as you can
Yeah.
see, we were able to accomplish having a very multicultural cast. So I think, from their own perspective, I had them look at the script and I said, how does this feel to you? Does this feel like something, you want to say? Does
Mm,
it feel like something you want to translate in your way? And we talked about it. I didn't just say, okay, this is the script. I really
yeah.
felt like it had to be a good match for that person
Yeah.
in order to bring forth the feelings that they have. And also the music. Bonifacio Goudelet did the drumming in the beginning and the end, the drum prayer. So I feel so blessed that he was able and willing to create something like that for the film that resonates so much for us here in New Mexico. So I'm
Yeah.
really, really thrilled about that. And I'm just thankful. I'm very, very thankful that it's come to fruition. I had my doubts that it would, with all the changes
I'm
and
sure.
everything
Yeah.
on with a lot of people. we had some loss in our family, due to COVID, and
Mm.
without going into that, it created a lot of feelings that were coming up at the time, and as well as I'm sure a lot of other people, lost income, lost jobs. So yeah, it's how do we support each other and make film, when our country is going through such turmoil and
Mm.
divisiveness? How do we still create? How do we still get the word out under difficult circumstances? So that's what I would say at the end of the day is, hang on to your passion.
Mm.
Know that it can be done, and also give yourself a wide berth with respect to what it's going to look like. You don't
Yeah.
have to be a perfectionist to get the word out. You don't have to have everything look as polished as I thought it should. And it's a learning experience at the end of the day. I'm still a new filmmaker myself, and I'm still learning from mistakes and challenges, and things that pop up that you don't expect. And that's the beauty of filmmaking. You have a team of
Yeah.
people that you get to do this with, and I'm so thankful for them. I really am. They're sort of they're my film family. They're my pandemic family. They're my other go-to people. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's really been a great sense of support. I think we've been able to support each other through difficult circumstances. And
That's great.
I'm thankful for New Mexico Women in Film that our sister filmmakers are there for one another, so that we are willing and able to get our projects to fruition. And
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. I think those are great words to that was actually going to be one of my final questions for you is what kind of words of support can you give our community? But those were really it. Art will find a way as long as you open up and allow it.
I thought of one other thing that I think is really, that I really love to do, and it's really
Yeah.
important. As a board member of New Mexico Women in Film, and I'm very proud of that. I think one of the most important things that I've gotten from other filmmakers, more experienced filmmakers, was the gift of mentorship.
Mm.
And as I go on in my process of being a filmmaker, I want to give back to other people. And again, I don't know everything. What I don't know, I say up front, I don't know, but let's see how we can find that out. And so I think the beauty is to give back within our membership. I think that's one of the great gifts of being a member of Women in Film, is that we have the opportunity to give back to other filmmakers.
Yeah.
And so, you're not walking through this alone in the dark. You have other people that can share with you, from the mistakes they made, from the successes they've had, and so forth. And also networking, so that you
Yeah.
can make this happen. I mean, without the team of people that I have, some members of New Mexico Women in Film, some are not, some hopefully will be.
Yeah.
This was, truly a test of, what you can do,
Yeah.
when you want to do it, and under any circumstances it can be done. I know that from firsthand experience. And don't let the money stop you. Don't let no money stop you. I mean, there are hungry people out there, people that are SAG eligible, people that want to work in indie film, people that just want to create and make it happen. And that's one of the things as a social work filmmaker that I say, which is, this is a way to educate and advocate.
Mm.
And film is a wonderful tool to do that for the public, for clients, for the community.
Sure. Yeah, it really is. It's a form of storytelling that ever since we've kind of figured it out, has dominated how audiences like to kind of connect with story and, step out of the real world sometimes, even if the story's about the real world, to go sit in that space and have that kind of separation from it in a way, I think is very helpful and healthy for a lot of us. So
I thought
I
of one other thing.
yeah, absolutely.
With respect to distribution.
Yeah.
In the past, I had the opportunity to work with a distributor with another film that we got on Amazon Prime, which I'm proud of. And over time, what I'm learning is there are a lot of different ways to self-distribute your product.
Mm.
And during the pandemic, what I'm noticing is that, Amazon Prime is very open to at least looking at your product. And so
Right.
I think that's really wonderful. And I encourage people to, don't be afraid, just step into it and just, go for it. And
Yeah.
and again, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'll let you know. That'll be part two. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think don't let the what ifs and the voice in the back of your head that says I can't do this, get in your way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. And, now there's people are really content hungry because nobody's really been able to make content in the
Yes, yes, yes,
traditional
yes.
way. So there's a void of content, and it's a great time for independent filmmakers that don't have a lot of name recognition to be able to circulate their work and actually get some consideration. So
Mhm.
that's very good. I'm glad that you decided to bring that up with everybody today.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anything else about your work you'd like to share with our audience before you let go? Obviously, we have to have you back after the election so we can find
Okay,
out
I
what.
will come back. Well, you asked me about, the our production company.
Yeah,
It's not called Unavoidable Productions for no reason.
yeah,
Because a lot of the things that we try to tackle are things that are controversial, they're difficult, they make people uncomfortable. And so that's why I decided to call it Unavoidable Productions, because these are things that need to be talked about. We need
yeah.
to talk about how to how to work as a multicultural team, how to include people, how to be more inclusive. You don't just say it, do it.
Right.
Make it happen. Okay. I don't want to hear I don't have any money. I don't want to, I mean, because you know what? A lot of us don't have money to, extra money, especially now during the pandemic where people are broke and don't have a job and don't know where their
Right.
next job is coming from. But that can't let you stay in that place of I can't. I
Mm,
can't. No. I mean, trust me, it's possible.
yeah.
I mean, our team is living proof that this is possible.
Yeah.
So through mentorship, join Women in Film,
Yep.
you will see that it is possible. And if you pick up the phone and call me, I will share with you the experience that I've had. And I'm happy to let you know, like, this is how you can do this.
That's
And if you don't
great.
have a lot of equipment, okay, because initially when I started making film, I didn't have a lot of equipment. It took me a
Mhm.
while to develop, the funds to go out and buy, two cameras and lighting,
Sure.
this and that. So over time, I was able to do that. But not everybody can do that, and I get it. And so, you know, back to smartphone once again. I was never going to go this way, but you
Yeah.
know, pandemic be told, this was the best tool of choice when the governor said everything's shut down. We're not doing this, okay? And I thought, well, okay, we are doing this. We're just doing it another way, but I don't know how, and we'll figure it out. So what
Yeah.
I'm talking about is, don't let things get in the way. Yes, it's great if you can get grants. It's great if you have people, that are able to contribute financially, but that's not always going to be the case, especially for new filmmakers, for indie filmmakers.
Yeah.
It's a good way to hone your craft, to learn new skills, to meet people in our community, to develop your little film circle, to learn to work with different people from different cultures, different
Yeah.
ethnicities. And we really had a blast. I mean, I have to say, up until we shut down, we were having a wonderful time. So I'm really proud of all of us that we had this experience.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you and thank you for letting me share this.
Oh, absolutely. It is my great pleasure to have you with me today and to be able to feature your work that you're doing. I think it's definitely the social worker in you that demands that we have more conversations about these things. And I think it's fantastic that you've chosen film as a mechanism to help generate those conversations. It's a great contribution to the world. Please keep doing what you're doing and
Thank
definitely
you.
let us know how things keep going with it. We will share all of the information about Tsunami, the links, all those details, as well as how to follow up and connect with Geri Lynn in our YouTube description notes. So please take a look and check those out. Watch Tsunami. Watch it 10 times. It'll definitely take a few run throughs, I think, to really absorb it all, but it's well worth it. And make sure you share it. Share it out there and start some conversations in your community.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again, everybody, for joining us for this episode of the Storyteller series. Make sure to subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell so that you get notifications when our new episodes drop. I will be back with another guest soon. And in the meantime, make sure you also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you can stay on top of everything that's happening at New Mexico Women in Film. Geri Lynn, thank you so much
Bye,
again.
bye.